Morning, Glory America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Byron York and I were together on Special Report on Friday night. We disagreed about whether Joe Biden will be the nominee of the Democrats. I don't believe he will be. Byron believes he will be. Good morning, Byron. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. Doing well.
Now, since we were together with Brett on Friday night, the Wall Street Journal put out a poll of 1,500 registered voters over the weekend because there is no news. 73% of registered voters say Joe Biden is too old to be president. That is a stunning number, Byron. Are you hanging on to your Joe Biden will be the nominee?
I am. And actually, there was an interesting story yesterday or the day before from Nate Silver, who just looked at death rates for men as they turn 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. And said, this is a significant problem with electing an 82-year-old man. Yes, it's a less significant problem electing a 78-year-old man, as Donald Trump would be, but it's a really significant problem with Joe Biden. My position was, it's incredibly hard to blast a president out of a campaign if you were his political party. Political parties are very, very reluctant to eject their own candidate, their own president. Just doesn't really happen.
It doesn't. And I always thought Ted Kennedy was going to be Jimmy Carter in 76 and 80, and I should have learned my lesson. But the inability to walk, and I have been watching the president recently, and he's not lifting his feet, Byron. He can't get his feet up. He's shuffling. Yeah. And this is obvious to everyone. And so I just don't think he's going to make it. Play with me for a second. If, in fact, he wins in South Carolina and then exits stage right in a choreographed exit that is designed to allow someone other than not named Harris to be nominated, who is the Democrat most likely to walk in and win at that point the nomination?
Well, I think you have to look at the governors who are out there actually loyally campaigning for him right now. So you have to look at Newsom, Whitmer, Shapiro. There'll be some Cooper. There's some that I'm not going to remember.
Polis in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at these Democratic governors who have already been positioning themselves for this, if in case it happens. Because going out and loyally campaigning as a Democrat now, campaigning for Joe Biden, is a good way to put yourself in position to succeed Joe Biden. If the unexpected were to happen that he actually gets elected again and he serves his term, well, you're in position for 2028. But more likely, you're in position for 2024. So I think it would have to be. I don't think there's anybody in the Senate, from the 2020 field, Booker or Warren or Klobuchar, who is probably going to jump ahead of the governors.
I agree, and I think that's Newsom just by virtue of the ability to raise money and name ID and win the California primary.
Already out there.
Yeah. So now play the party game with me because we had two sets of guests for dinner on Friday and Saturday night. We played the party game with both of them about no labels because they don't want to vote for Biden and they hate Trump, the people that came by. And I'm a loyal Republican. I'll support the nominee. But, if you're no labels and you have to come up with someone who could actually win, I think it's got to be a Republican at the top. Otherwise, it just helps us. I'm all in favor of no labels if they put a Democrat at the top. That helps the Republicans. But if it's a Republican, who do they possibly have not named Mitt Romney?
Republican?
Yeah. What would no labels? Larry Hogan doesn't win.
The name
Larry
you were
Hogan
talking about was Governor Hogan, right?
Right, and he's a wonderful man and a friend of the show, but he could not possibly win, and he would take votes away from Biden.
He's not really going to have any effect.
Agree.
On the race, it seems to
Agree.
me. And there just isn't one. I remember in 2020, Trump didn't have a lot of campaigning he had to do, but he went to the Iowa caucuses, even though there really was no Republican Iowa caucus, and Joe Walsh, the former radio host, was there campaigning against Trump. And so I go to an event of his, and it's an event with Democrats. And they kind of, they all agree that they hate Trump. But then they start going over issues, and they don't agree with him at all. I mean, he's in favor of school choice, and he wants to cut federal spending, and he wants to spend more on the military. I mean, he wants to do all of these Republican things, right, except he hates Trump. And it was this ridiculous meeting in which they could all agree like 10 minutes out of every hour when they were going on about Trump. This is having a Republican running as an anti-Trump candidate just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's a party game. It's silly. And I'm all for no labels because it inevitably will hurt Biden. It just will inevitably hurt Biden.
Well, that's why Democrats are extremely angry about this no labels stuff. I mean, they're not saying, oh, gee, some no labels candidate is going to come out and win. They're worried he'll take a percentage point or two from Joe Biden, and that could be enough to make Biden lose to Trump.
Does Cornel West take enough away from Biden to make Biden lose?
You know, actually, Cornel West's candidacy was taken more seriously than I would have done at the top. I think not. I just don't see Cornel West taking any significant number of voters from anybody.
All right, now my last question, and we'll revisit this, Byron, but if they nominate 82-year-old Joe Biden, and he can barely make it up the steps of Air Force One, even if they double, triple, they put a ramp on and they wheel him up.
Going up the lower entrance, yeah.
Yeah, let's just say they're stuck and they have to do it. Do you believe that Democrats will stay home? Because I think they will. I think that Democrats down ticket are going to lose because Joe Biden is the nominee.
If Donald Trump is on the ballot, I do not believe that Democrats will stay home. Trump is an enormous motivator, and people say, boy, how did we have so many votes? 80 million votes. Well, because Trump is an incredible motivator of voters. So no, they don't stay home, and they go vote.
So, and if I translate this well, are you of the opinion that any other Republican not named Trump wins?
Yeah, I think then it becomes a generational contest, and people can just openly admit, Joe Biden really is too old. Ron DeSantis is 40-something, or some other candidate is 50-something, or even 60-something. And it's really time to get someone younger in, because we do have this weird gerontocracy in Washington, and it's time to stop that.
And this is what I think is the water on the rock effect. I think Republicans are going to figure out that whatever they think about Donald Trump, and they may love him, he's a guy who's going to reelect Biden, and he cannot campaign, and that they're going to go somewhere else. I really do think that's going to happen, Byron. Now, I'm often wrong at least 50% of the time, so maybe he does get the nomination again, and maybe he wins. But I just think a lot of Republicans are going to figure it out. He cannot win. Do you think that is dawning on people that he cannot win?
Not yet. It's clear. I mean, in this last poll, this Wall Street Journal poll, which shows Trump with, what was it, a 46-point lead over DeSantis, people started saying, it's not a two-man race anymore. It's over. So I think Republican support for him right now is just growing. I don't see any planned event between now and the Iowa caucuses that really changes that, but that's when people actually start voting. And then next year, I don't think Republicans or Trump himself have really fully appreciated the degree to which next year is a long grind in which the prosecution machine grinds and grinds and grinds at Trump, takes his time, takes his attention, takes his money, and keeps the trials of Donald Trump in the news every single day. Now, will this just harden Republican support even more, or will that grind begin to wear him down? We'll see.
Yeah, running for president in leg irons is not easy to do. And these are metaphorical leg irons, but what you just described is a nightmare. And he's not campaigning, and I don't think you can win the presidency unless you campaign. And it's very hard to campaign when you're in the dock. But we'll see. Byron York of the Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor. Thank you, Byron. Coming right back, America. Stay tuned to the Hugh Hewitt Show.